Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, people, for this webinar. And we hope that some more colleagues will be joining. And I'm Srinivasan. Let me introduce myself and then I'll introduce my colleagues who are presenting. You know that NCERT is a national apex organization in India. NCERT is regulated by the Ministry of Education in India at the national level. It was established in 1960s, and during the last 6 decades, we have been developing curriculum, syllabus, advising the ministries of education of both states and the center. And for your information, the NCERT is a general council, includes all the education ministers of states, and the chairman is the Minister of Education. And this is, I work in a department within NCERT, which is called the Department of Education in Social Sciences. And we have 7 constituents, and in the headquarters in Delhi. We develop syllabus, textbooks, curriculum framework, and all the policy documents. And we also develop all the teacher support materials and the materials for children, and for all the needs of the policy issues in education. We also have a constituent called CAET, which is hosting this G-Suite accounts in NCERT. In our department, all the syllabus and textbooks for classes 6 to 12 in the area of social sciences, history, geography, economics, political science, sociology, business studies, and commerce are developed. This webinar is a part of our departmental activity. You know that in our department, whenever we develop the curriculum framework, if you look at the entire gamut of curricular activities in NCERT, it starts with the development of curriculum framework, followed by the development of syllabus and textbooks. Once the textbooks are out, we also work with the teachers and participating in the professional development. Okay, so I work as a professor of economics. I joined in NCERT about 2 decades before. I've been working with the states and the NCERT in developing economic syllabus, economics textbooks, and also the social science textbooks for class 6 to 10. So I also work with the teachers, visiting, traveling all over India in developing syllabus, textbooks, and working with the teachers as part of their professional development. So this is a small initiative as part of the economics teachers and curriculum developers, a small WhatsApp group in which some members like Ambia Gulati and others started requesting that why don't we have a series of webinars so that we can share our ideas, whatever is happening in the different classrooms, schools, in the area of economics. We can share our teaching ideas. So we also thank Ambia Gulati for initiating this idea. And then last month we had a webinar. It is available in the YouTube now. You can just type the title, you will get the idea. And many of you have already participated in that webinar. And thank you for participating or sparing your invaluable time to come and participate in this webinar. Not coming, sitting and participating here. And I also thank Chan Singh, Rupali Arora, and Supriya Bagga, the team members of the Sanskrit school in Delhi, who have come forward that to take up this session. I thank the school and the economics department for allowing them, encouraging them to take up this session. Okay, number 1. Number 2, if you look at the NCERT, if you look at the economics curriculum, when we were students, we did not have much of economics in the curriculum. But if you look at today, you will find economics as space from class. In countries like India, we have only from upper primary stage, but in countries like US, economics has made huge inroads from primary class onwards. So we also hope that in the coming generations, the new education policy expects that the children should have multiple options from class 9 onwards. So it is also possible that we may start teaching economics as a course from 9, 10, 11, 12 for 4 years. And the curriculum framework will help us to guide actually. You also, as a group, as a dynamic group, you also start thinking that how you want economics need to be promoted in the school system, from which class, what are the topics, and you can share your ideas through our mail. And so this webinar is mainly to address the pedagogical issues. Why I'm talking about pedagogical issues? Because the economics as a curriculum, economics as a knowledge domain is increasing day by day. The number of subjects have increased so much. For example, when I was a student, environmental economics was not a major issue, major behavioral economics was not there. But today, the number of topics in economics, number of disciplines, sub-disciplines is growing actually. So on the one hand, you will find the number of disciplines, sub-disciplines are growing in economics. At the same time, you also found the economics has made a lot of inroads into school system. So major challenge for the teachers and the curriculum developers is that how to cope up with the increase in the knowledge system. So many times whenever we develop the syllabus, we tend to see that increasingly more and more topics are getting included. And then we have to find the way how to teach these topics, how to translate these topical areas into pedagogical units, how to teach the topics very difficulty. For example, in one of the interviews, one professor asked me, can we introduce game theory in economics, in school economics? I firmly said that, sir, game theory is it's little heavy for the school children, and we have to wait at least for till they become 18 actually. And he said, are you sure about it? I said, to a certain extent, I have to say, but otherwise we don't have any experience actually. So this forum, these webinars also will be a meeting ground where we need to explore what are the topics that can be taught, what are the new topics that can be taught, how they can be from difficult areas like game theory or even the mathematical economics, how they can be translated in such a manner, transacted in such a manner that children are able to understand. So the first purpose is that it is also a major challenge for the economics teachers, because when the knowledge is increasing day by day and you have to cope up with the knowledge. For example, when we were students, the economics in mathematics was not that much intensive when we were students actually. But today, if you go to any undergraduate colleges, particularly in Delhi University, Bombay University, in Calcutta, mathematics has become a major component in undergraduate courses. So we as a teacher have to cope up with the increasingly new curricular era. So we have to read and more, acquire our knowledge. And also we have to acquire knowledge of how to teach these topical areas. So these are the two things that we have to. Thirdly, now technologically, for example, thanks to, now we should not thank, as far as Corona is concerned, due to COVID situation, we are now compelled to teach online mode actually. So if this is the case, technologically we have to be savvy enough. We have to learn also all the technologies that are available so that we can teach the children. So even after COVID scenario, also the teaching through digital modes are going to continue. So teachers are having three kind of challenges. The first challenge is that the increasing knowledge, they have to be updated about increasing knowledge. And secondly, you also have to develop pedagogies for new knowledge systems that are emerging in economics. And thirdly, you also should be aware about the technologies that are emerging. So in all these three areas, we need to share the ideas. So that is the purpose of this webinar. So with this, whatever the websites, like I would strongly suggest you that sometime back, I am just sharing the details of one handbook that we developed in NCRT. Whenever you get time, just you can look at this chat box and you can download this handbook. As it's a only handbook available in the like in India on how some basic ideas about economics teaching. And if you, I was also like I'm regularly looking at this idea, this website economicsnetwork.ac.uk, and this also you can start exploring the ideas. So these are some of the 2-3 websites available. And then another suggestion for all our economics colleagues is that you can start thinking about simulation games, in which I specialized. So what I generally do is I play games with the children, simulation games. I convert some of the games which are meant for the first year undergraduate students into smaller games, and I play games. So simulation games are latest developments in the area of economics pedagogy. So these 3 websites I'm showing in the chat box, you can just explore whenever you get time actually. Okay, so with this, let me introduce my colleagues, Chayan Singh and Rupali Arora. Both of them have spent about almost nearly 2 decades in teaching economics. and all the three of them are from Delhi University. That means one of the best universities in India in teaching economics. So with sound mastery, they are doing best things in Sanskriti school. And with this, let me invite all the three of them and to start to begin this session. My simple request that please keep all the your audio, like video and audio, silent, and the nature of presentation that they will present, and whenever they ask you to all the participants to participate, please do actively participate. And all the questions, doubts that you are having, please note down your doubts in a notebook, and then later you can share in two ways. One way is that once the presentation got over, you can just raise your hand, you can talk yourself. And secondly, you can also share your suggestions or share your questions in the chat box. So all the three of them and me, we will read the chat box, and then we will try to respond the questions actually. And again, this is a forum where we can share our experiences. And if any one of you are interested in presenting a webinar on any of the new ways of teaching economics, or new ways of teaching difficult areas of economics, please share your idea. What you can do is that you can certainly share, you can email to our email ID. We'll try to convert it into a webinar. So if you are having any innovative idea, new idea to present in NCRT forum, this is the opportunity. You can share your ideas. Be active, and let me invite the experts to make the presentation.
Thank you so much, Professor Srinivasan, for giving us such a warm welcome and introduction. And since we are over here, gathered here just to do some kind of knowledge about the virtual classroom that we are in. So we're really grateful to Professor Srinivasan for giving us this opportunity to showcase the best practices that Sanskriti School has been using. And obviously, due to this pandemic situation, we all are confined to laptops and mobile phones, and we are there to start our own virtual classroom. And Sanskriti School is a G Suite for Education school, and the virtual classroom that we have chosen is nothing but Google Classroom. Google Classroom basically is a platform which all of us can acquire, and this particular platform is going to be used for simplifying the teaching and learning process. And how that entire teaching and learning process is simplified is by just giving one code to the students, and we can add students directly. We can link the entire class all together through this virtual platform, and we can set up a class within few minutes, and we can create classwork that would appear on students' calendars, and it would help easily communicate not just with our students but also with the parents, and also that this entire platform will help us to automatically send some kind of an updates to the parents. Google Classroom, in fact, would help us to strengthen the student connections, and how, in fact, through technology, we can connect with our students from anywhere. We need not be confined in four walls of a classroom, a physical classroom. In fact, we can actually, adopt a hybrid approach, and that hybrid approach can be in class and virtual class. So whether there is pandemic or no pandemic, we're going to use this virtual classroom to have effective communication all across our day-to-day teaching and learning process. And through Google Classroom, we can communicate important announcements to the stream page, and we can enable face-to-face connections with our students, and using a very lively Google app, which we all are in right now, Google Meet. Google Meet is one online video conferencing tool through which we can connect with our students using Google Classroom. Google Classroom, in fact, not just, through G Suite for Education account, not just gives us a virtual platform. In fact, it keeps your data very, very protected. How? Because through Google Classroom, each and every user has a unique sign-in to keep individual accounts secure. Through G Suite for Education account, every teacher in the school and every student in the school gets a G Suite account through which we keep our data safe and secure. That's utmost important for continuing our teaching and learning process, because Google Classroom will give you that protected environment in which only the members of the class will be communicating and no outsider would be allowed to enter. So, safe and secure virtual classroom available for all the teachers and the students. So, in order to give you that experience of a virtual classroom, right now in this session, I'm going to take you to a virtual classroom. So, for that, on your screen, I'm displaying a class code. So, I would request each one of you to note down this class code and enter into this Google Classroom. So I will guide you few steps. If you are on a laptop, then you just need to go into your inbox, and there is going to be a 9 dot Google App Grid. We call it App Launcher. In that, you will just look for this icon which is there on your screen. This is Google Classroom icon. You will be just opening this Google Classroom, and if you are a first time user, you just accept the role of a teacher, because you all are teachers. At the end of the day, you're going to be creating classes with your students. So you just need to enter into a classroom dashboard, and there's going to be a plus sign there where you just need to you just need to enter this class code. Class code is there in your chat box, class code is there on your screen. You can just use this code to join Google Classroom to experience all the techniques, the new techniques that you all would be interested to know through this virtual classroom. And if you're on a mobile phone, then you can just install certain apps just to get the best benefit out of this webinar. One of the apps is Google Classroom. So like you go to your Play Store or an Apple Store, you just go over there and install Google Classroom app. Also, along with Google Classroom, you also can install other apps in advance, so that once we come to that particular stage during these hours that we are spending together, during this time, you would be needing another app, which is Edpuzzle. And the third app that you would need is a Jamboard. So all three of them are going to be written in your chat. In your chat box, the three names are going to flash. One is Google Classroom, second is Edpuzzle, and third is Jamboard. These three apps, I would request all of you to install in advance, so that once we come to the usage through an activity, you all are active in taking participation. So with this, I would like to request Chayan Singh to take over the presentation. And if you have any technical issues related to joining of Google Classroom or any other issue related to installation of these apps, you can write it in the chat box. I'm available to answer all your queries through the chat window. So over to you, Chayan.
Thank you so much, Pali. I hope my audio is fine. Hello and welcome to all of you. As Professor Srinivasan has already shared with you, I teach economics and I work with this absolutely wonderful team of teachers, that is constantly looking at learning, innovating and strategizing to make our classes more effective and fun for our students. Now, especially in today's time, these are unprecedented times for all of us. And we've worked very hard to, make our virtual classes effective. And we thought it would be a wonderful idea to share our best teaching practices with all of you, so that your kids have as much fun as ours do in our classes. So before we set out, I'm going to walk you through the 5E model of lesson planning on which we've based our presentation. You can see it on your screens. Now, the 5 E's, of course, there's it starts with an engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. And I'm sure a lot of you would be familiar with these already. And in fact, I'm sure we all use these in our classrooms sometime or the other, even if we don't, categorize them as engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. These are things that all teachers do in their classrooms. Now, engaging basically involves, getting students involved and interested in the topic that we plan to teach them, taking them from familiar ground to, newer learning. So that we are going to go through strategies through which you can, make your classes more engaging. Once, you've got them interested and sort of stirred their curiosity, you need to provide them with opportunities to explore, discover, and it's amazing what the kids are capable of, if we were to just guide them and sort of nudge them along gently. After we've built this initial base, the concepts need to be explained and elaborated. And, a flipped classroom actually works wonderfully well for this, because that in such a scenario, the kids take on the task of peer teaching, and it's amazing the results that they come out with. Because we tend to think at times that, we need to step in as teachers to explain concepts to them. But if you give them a little free hand and guide them a bit, they can do a wonderful job of it in the classroom. And once you've been through all of this teaching, there's some way of, testing the efficacy of the lesson that you've taught them. And we're going to show you ways in which evaluation does not have to be stressful, dreaded, and a cause for angst amongst the students. So I hope it's a very useful, engaging, and a fun session for all of us here. At the end, we have a little Q&A session, and we'd be happy to address any queries that you might have. You could also type your queries in the chat box during the course of the session. Also, we would love to hear what you think of the session. So we will share a feedback form with you towards the end. And please do remember to fill it with your candid opinion, so that, also it allows you to gain access to a resource sheet that has all the information on the various apps and online resources that we're going to be using today. And I would also like to say hello to Ambika Gulati here. Ambika's a dear friend. And I also think she's my mentor. So thank you, Ambika, for everything. All right. So without taking any more of your time, I'm going to hand you over to Supriya. Supriya is a dear colleague, and she's going to show you how you can make your Indian economic development lessons really interesting and something that the kids look forward to. So over to you, Supriya.
Thank you, Chayan. I'm just presenting my screen. What you can see right here is the 5E model of lesson plan, which Chayan has just explained. And I am now going to take you to the next part of the session, which talks about Indian economic development. As you know, Indian economic development as a field of study, it has been introduced in class 12 since last year. The purpose, as stated by CBSE, is to teach applied macroeconomics. So there are various concepts which are overlapping. There is balance of payments, for example, foreign trade, and others which can be integrated in the two branches of economics. So rather than teaching both of them in isolation, it is time for us educators to bring them out together. We, in this session, are going to touch upon a subunit, rural credit. And to begin with the session, I would like you to see the learning outcomes that we would expect the students to have learned through the session that we are going to present. As a teaching learning technique, we feel that the learning outcomes must always be outlined before we begin any lesson. It gives a clear-cut picture to the learner that's there, but to the educator, this is called a backward design approach. So what you can see here on your screen are the learning objectives or the learning goals of the subunit rural credit, which I would want my students to have learned when they leave the course. We must always consider these learning outcomes before we devise any assessment for the student, and then consider how to teach. So that's what a backward design is. First, design your assessment, look at what you want the children to be able to answer at the very end, and therefore design your very content on that basis. Okay, taking you to the first E that Chayan had talked about, which is engage. Here I have various techniques which can be used, various tools, since we are now in a virtual mode. So various tools which can be used to integrate in your classroom to get the students engaged into the content. Engage basically means to generate interest, and interest can only be generated if we look at the prior knowledge of the children, if we connect the past to the present, if we set the parameters on which we want them to focus on. So if the kids are motivated, the interest is created, only then can responses be encouraged. So for this, the basic tools that we use here are brainstorming, asking question, access prior knowledge. We've been doing all that. But how to do that? We all have our own methodology. What we are now going to tell you is what the methodology we have used in our school. So the tools, the first one on top, which you see is called a Padlet. Padlet is an internet application. So what it allows is, it allows the users to express their thoughts on a common topic. And as a department in Sanskriti, we've used this medium extensively for basically for classwork, where the students post their work and in real time we can see all the work on one screen. So it's as good as you're just walking down the classroom and maybe peeping into their work and monitoring them and guiding them. And that's the best we can do in this scenario that we are in. Google Classroom questions here. Questions can be posed in the GC Google Classroom, and it can be done during the assignment is on. It can be a mood check, whatever. It can be an instant response for the teacher to look at what the requirements of the students are. The tool Mentimeter will be just taken up a little later during the session. We now come to the last part here, mentioned a concept map creation. So concept map, flow charts, mind mapping has been a part of the schooling process since very class 1, class 2, we've all engaged in it and we've all dealt with it. So basically it's a visual organization. There are various concepts and relationships which are created with various shapes such as circles, boxes, triangles, and arrows are drawn to show the relationship between various concepts. So now what I am going to show you for rural credit is the technique of storytelling, how storytelling can engage the learner into the various concepts of economics through a mode called Mindomo. So as educators, facilitators, we must bring the economic theory and concepts into the life of the students. One such method is to engage them with storytelling. And storytelling must always have an emotional appeal for the students. Only then they get involved. We've all used anecdotes, we've all used examples, whether we are teaching the law of demand, we use the student's name, whether we are teaching the budget, we use their pocket money as example. So all these little examples, all these little anecdotes, questions that we pose are basically a part of storytelling. So here, the story that I am going to tell you is about Muhammad Yunus. He's an economics professor. He's a Nobel laureate, and how he developed the concept of microcredit. The tool that I'm going to use right now is called Mindomo, which is there right there on the screen here. I'm just going to take you there. A minute. I'll just take you there.
Requesting Mrs. Kusum to please mute.
Okay, so here we have the concept of microfinance being explained in the story of Muhammad Yunus. So you can see in this particular tool, we can include pictures, we can include text, we can even include links of YouTube videos. So to teach this concept, the methodology that I would apply or use is to show the children this concept that I have dealt with in this map. and tell them that Muhammad Yunus was a pioneer in microcredit. And what did he do? He was actually, it was a time when there was a famine in Bangladesh, and he was a professor there of economics. He thought that sitting in a fancy classroom and teaching fancy theories to the children did not really get him anywhere. He wanted to move out and show to the children what the real world is. And who he met was none other than a poverty stricken lady called Sufia Begum. What did she have to do? She had to buy bamboos to make stool. She had to borrow 5 takas every day, and at the end of the day, she made 5 takas 50 paisa. So 5 takas she had to return at the end of the day. So what she made was only 25 cents a day, which she used for herself and her 3 kids. So that was barely enough to feed herself and her family. So that was the kind of situation which he saw when he went out into the field. When he did that, to break this circle of debt and poverty, Yunus wanted to loan certain money to Begum and other neighbors because he had earlier tried to persuade a local banker to give them loan, but the banker had just refused. Why do you think just 5 taka a day, which was to be given to this lady, was not agreed upon by the banker? I would request you to answer in your chat. Why do you think this kind of a loan was not being given to Sufia Begum? Anybody could answer. You could unmute, you could write as you wish. A little loan. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Anusuya, that's absolutely right. And Dipali, ma'am, there was no credit worthiness, there was no collateral. So that's exactly what the situation was. This lack of collateral led to this local banker not being able to give the loan, so she did not qualify for the credit. And I have what you have written here, just here. There was a lack of collateral, which was not there with her. So that led him to think, that led him to the creation of an institution called Grameen Bank, where he began his work as a banker to the poor, and that's the title of his book also. And also, he allowed them to pay back over the next year as their businesses started to produce stable profits. So, what his technique was that he did not want them to pay at a particular date and he did not want them to pay lump sum, but he looked at how the money was being spent and thereafter allowed them to pay back the money on their terms and conditions. So, that's how microcredit as an agency started developing with Sufia Begum, with meeting Sufia Begum and many others. There are various stories. I think where I've read, there are about 90 stories of Muhammad Yunus when he had started out to meet these people in that famine time when he was in Bangladesh. So as a teacher, after telling this story, after getting a response as to what was needed and what was missing into what was missing, that is why the reason that these local bankers would not give them, I would then give them 2 more names or maybe more names. One is Ammajan, Amina, and Noor Jahan. The children could research the stories or the anecdotes and continue with the map or the story on this part or any other part of the lesson. You can in this tool also put YouTube links. This YouTube link is about Yunus and his interview and how he began his program. I'm going to share the link of this Mindomo with you, where you can watch and see how to carry on. Again, I have another story on the left, which I'm not narrating, but to just show you this microfinance and Muhammad Yunus. Along with this tool, we can do a lot for the children to work on. The teacher can begin and let the students take on and do their bit in their classroom. So I feel as a teacher of economics, storytelling has a great appeal for the students. Be it law of variable proportions, be it demand, be it macro, be wherever. So that's how I would have liked to introduce microfinance to the children, and it's been a great success. Now, to take the session forward, I would invite you to go back to your classroom. Rupali ma'am, would you please release the Jamboards over there? Yeah, when you go back to your Google Classroom, you will find 2 Jamboards over there.
Yes, Supriya
And
ma'am, both
thank
Mind
you.
Demo as well as Jamboard have been released in Google Classroom.
Thank you. Thank you. So when you go to your Google Classroom, under Explore, you will find the Jamboard. And what we are going to now delve on is the second E, which is Explore, where the children explore the information, they look for the information on their own and share it with their peers. So here, when we are finished with the first E, we move on to the next, which, as I said, is Explore. The first tool here is Google search, which we are all very familiar with. These days, children even look for an answer onto Google when you're asking them on a virtual platform, and they are learning in that manner. YouTube videos are also a great learning tool. We've talked about Google Classroom question, and a shared Google slide deck is again like a PowerPoint presentations which we share with the children after having taught them or facilitated the learning through this issue. Now we are going to the Jamboard. As I said, if you can look into your classroom, you will see 2 jams over there under number 2 Explore. And there are instructions over here. The instructions clearly say that there are 2 jams and you are going to please select one of them based on which one would you like to do. I'm sorry, yeah. So there are 2 Jamboards attached to the assignment. Please select the first one if you would like to present and research on self-help groups and their importance, and select the third one if you would like to work on the topic that the loans taken by self-help groups have mostly been used for production purposes. I'm going to show one Jamboard to you on the screen to tell you how to work around it. I have here the second one, against the motion, which you can see one frame over here, and there are certain tools on the left with which you can fill in the information in the Jamboard. So here the first one is a pen. We have an eraser, a selection tool, a sticky note, image, and so on. What I want you to use right now to create a lovely Jamboard is 3 of these tools. One is a sticky note, the other is the image you can research and take down from the net, and the third is a text box. I'm showing you one of them. If you click on the sticky note, you can write whatever you want to, or copy paste, research from the net. When you save it, it comes on to your jam, which you can move anywhere you want. You can increase the size, you can even delete it. And I'm going to delete it because I'm going to wait now for you all to take on one of the Jamboards out of the 2 and work. I'm giving you 5 minutes to do so. This is the add image option. You can add an image from the internet to substantiate your result, your argument. That's nice. I see one image coming up. So you actually can show the screen in real time to the students. They can see what the other group is doing. They can work in collaboration. It's a very helpful tool. And then once the entire presentation is done, there is a provision to make a PDF copy and preserve it and give it to the students if they want to then again learn through this. The teachers can write it as a whiteboard. It can be used for that too. Thank you. I think we shall now move on to the next part of the session. And this is the collaborative platform where the student can engage in, as I said earlier, to explore. So now I will hand over the session to Rupali. Rupali, I'm going to stop presenting. You can take over, please. Thank you so much, participants. Thank you for being such good students.
Thank you so much, Supriya. Now I'm going to present my screen. All right, so now we come up to the next phase of the 5E model, and that is explain. Now, what happens in this entire phase is that teachers, they can explain the concepts introduced in the previous phases, and it can be completely teacher directed and guided by some experiences of the students which they have gathered in the previous phase. Also, this entire approach can give the student the opportunity to explain their understanding and are guided by the teacher. Now, what happens in this particular phase is that we can use a whole lot of strategies in our own online classes and explain the concept that we are introducing. Like, for instance, the first one is Google Meet. Now, Google Meet connects all the students and the teachers to teach and learn from anywhere. And through this online video conferencing platform, we can connect to our students at ease in real time. Then we have Screencastify. Now, Screencastify students can use to explain what they know in their own words. In fact, we can simply ask our students to record themselves working through a problem, and they can summarize the entire concept or explain the main points of the story in their own opinions. Screencastify helps you record anything that you are doing it on your screen. Like right now also, if I'm demonstrating something on a slide and I'm doing just a simple slideshow, and through that slideshow, I can narrate a story and record it for my students. Another interesting technique that we all teachers can use for explaining our concept is nothing but Flipgrid. If you go and explore Flipgrid, Flipgrid is nothing but a simple, free, accessible video discussion experience in which you can easily, introduce and collaborate with your students in real time. If you have time, go out to these websites and explore their usage for explaining your concepts. But in today's session, I'm going to be using one interesting app, which is a third-party app for explaining the concepts in your class in a more interactive fashion. And that is Edpuzzle. So right now, I have asked you all to quickly join in my Google Classroom. And Edpuzzle is an app which can make video truly interactive even in an asynchronous learning environment. So what happens here is that right now, since we all are there in Google Meet, we're going to be using Edpuzzle for undertaking an interactive video session in which I will take you to a video in Google Classroom, and you all can easily watch this with that video for a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes. And in between the video, you will find certain questions which you are supposed to answer. Yeah, so I'm going to be posting. And over here, I can see in Google Classroom, I can show you the entire process quickly in 2 minutes. And as I can see, this is my Google Classroom. And in this Google Classroom, we are 3 teachers, and I can see 25 students who have already joined in. So if you have joined Google Classroom, I'm going to be getting the report of how you have answered the Edpuzzle. But if you are not using Google Classroom, simply through your chat window, I'll just be posting a link through which you can watch the video, but your performance won't be visible to me. So only these 25 students who are enrolled in my Google Classroom, I will be able to see their performance through this Edpuzzle. So I'm explaining a concept using a video which is interactive. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'll just go to edpuzzle.com, and in this edpuzzle.com scenario, I've imported a Google Classroom. So this is a third-party app which is well integrated with Google Classroom. So here I can see that if I click on import students, I will import all the students which are there in my class. So all those 25 students who were visible in Google Classroom are now visible in my Edpuzzle account. In a simple way, I have this video for you coming up in Google Classroom, which is nothing but a case study which has been given in NCERT on Kudumbashree. And this particular video that I found from YouTube, I'm going to assign in Google Classroom. So when I assign, I can choose the date that I want this entire thing to be shown. And then after that, I can also give a due date. Just by selecting the class that I want to post the assignment in, I'll just click on post on Google Classroom and assign this particular assignment through which I will take you to a beautiful video on Kudumbashri. Go and look for this assignment in Google Classroom. I'll take you to Google Classroom also and show you how this assignment would be looking like. This is Google Classroom, and you can see an assignment called Ed Puzzle Special Report on Kudumbashri. If you are a first time user of Ed Puzzle, and if you are using a mobile device, then I would like to give you a short video on how to access this assignment in Ed Puzzle. So let's hear out that video. Let's hear out the steps on a mobile device. If you're on a laptop, you can just go to your Edpuzzle assignment and start attempting it.
To access the Edpuzzle video, you have to click on the classwork tab that you see at the bottom of the screen. And that will take you then to the Edpuzzle assignment. We click on this. And now you'll be able to see the Edpuzzle link. When you click on this link, you'll be taken to the video. But because we're working on the mobile phone, you'll have to first open the Edpuzzle app and access the video there. So it's time to switch to the app. You could either click on Open tab and directly move to the app, or you can go to the Edpuzzle app, click on it, and that's your class. It will show up in the Edpuzzle app. And there's your assignment. You see the video right on top. You click on it, and you can start to play it. Now, once you've started to play it, you'll find that there are questions inserted at various time intervals in the video that you need to answer. And that is what our kids will see too.
So I'm giving you 2-3 minutes to watch the video and do all the questions which are there in the video. And that's how you can engage your students and explain the concept in more detail using Edpuzzle. By the time you all are attempting, I'm going to be showcasing how the teacher can see how the students are performing. By the time you have given the video in class, whether in online class or even at home. So whether they have watched the video, how much they have watched the video, all that will be available using Edpuzzle. So Edpuzzle gives you that entire detailed information on what the students have done at home, because flipped classroom approach is something that we all love doing, and through Edpuzzle you can monitor what students have done at their home and how much actually they have contributed in learning the entire concept, and also how long they have watched the video, have they answered all the questions. All that analysis will be given on Edpuzzle. So it's very interesting app to be used in order to monitor the work which has been done by the students, and in that entire process you have explained the concept in a flipped classroom approach, and the next day when they come in an online class, you all can move on to the next phase, which is elaboration. So you can elaborate the concept further in your online classes. As you can see on screen, this is the dashboard, wherein on Edpuzzle you can click on the content to see what all is being done by other teachers. So you can have ready-made material available. If you click on My Content, you can get access to the video that you have given it to your students. And when you click on it, you can actually see the work which has been done by your students using Gradebook and My Classes. So Gradebook will tell you who all have watched it. Like I can see that Miss Purva Chopra has watched it for 2 minutes, and then I can see even Miss Aarti Goyal has also watched it for 2 minutes. So like that, you can monitor how long the video has been watched by the student at home, again, totally on his own. So next day, before the child enters into your virtual classroom, you already know who all have already studied the entire concept and then who all haven't. So you and the children also know that the teacher is aware about it. So the child will also be really, really alert and cautious in knowing what all has been given by the teacher. And if I go on to my classes, I can see that in my class right now, all the 25 students, whether they have attempted or not, I can see these are all my students and all the assignments which are due to them. And I can also add as many classes in Google Classroom and make my teaching and learning more engaging and more fun to do in day-to-day classes. And in fact, you can also see their questions as well in detail and how much time they have spent and what all questions have they done it in detail. So go out and explore at puzzle and work and see how, easily and in a fun way you can help explain your concept to your students. Then the next phase, which is really, really important, is elaboration. Once you have explained the concept, now you move on to elaboration of the concept. And obviously in this phase, it is very essential that whether you have elaborated the entire concept well to the students, there are certain techniques which Google has provided in order to take your learning process to the next level. And that is through Google Docs, through Google Slides, Google Drawings, and Google Spreadsheet. All these Google apps are found in the 9.Google App Grid, and through that grid, you can open up any of these documents. And the beauty of these Google apps is collaboration. What happens in this entire process is there is a powerful share button through which you can collaborate and bring all the students and the teachers on the same document or on the same slide or even on a same spreadsheet wherein they all are giving their contributions, and within few minutes in your online class you can build a meaningful resource which can be saved and referred in future in a very, very systematic manner. So in this entire endeavor of elaborating all the concepts in economics, Sanskriti School has created one website, because that is also another collaborative Google app, which is Google Site. And Google Site is available in the 9.Google App Grid, wherein you can go and collaborate and build a website for your students. And since this collaborative feature gives the option for every teacher to go and add their contribution as per the time available. Same thing three of us had done, and we have built up a website for Indian economic development, the link of which we will post in Google Classroom. And in order to give you a quick peek into the work that has been done by three of us, in order to elaborate all the concepts, we have built up this website, which is purely original work by three of us. We have referred to NCERT, and using NCERT as the base, we have built up all the resources that can help elaborate all the basic concepts of Indian economic development. So three of us have started this journey all together, and using the collaborative feature of Google Site, we were able to build the resources for all the 10 chapters in detail. And since the chapter that we are referring to right now is rural development, in this chapter, we have now elaborated taking NCERT as the base of all the basic concepts of rural credit. And in order to take this concept ahead, we have also roped in, the content and the role of the NABARD in agricultural development in detail, and any relevant YouTube videos that are appropriate for our students, which we really want to play in our own online virtual classes. We have put them all under one window, which is Google Site. And all these concepts can be used up on a daily basis. The same Kudumushri YouTube that we used for creating an Edpuzzle assignment, same is being put up under the website using the same box that we refer from NCRT and giving all timely references from NCRT because that's the base. And we always emphasize that for board examination, we need to use NCRT for learning and, understanding the basic concepts. And we have elaborated the entire NCRT using our own resources that we have gathered over the years. And through this, at the end of each chapter that we have built up in this Google site, we have also added certain quick quizzes, like for rural development as well. A Google form has been attached for every chapter at the end of the elaboration, which students can use to get a quick feedback on how they have worked upon in this entire chapter. So based on this, coming back to the next important phase of the 5E model, and which is evaluate. Because, assessment is a very, very important aspect of education. And we all are aware that as per the National Education Policy 2020, we have been emphasizing on the fact that we should move away from rote learning and we should emphasize more on real life experiences. And we actually need to prepare our students who are 21st century digital natives and prepare them to, understand the concepts well. We need to emphasize on their real life learning. We need to emphasize on the fact that how well they are taking forward these basic concepts that they've learned in economics in real life situations. So in that endeavor, what we actually emphasize in Sanskriti School is all the evaluation techniques which are not on summative assessment, but we are more emphasizing on formative assessment, which is going to be emphasizing on giving instant feedback to our children right at the end of the chapter. So we have Google Forms, we have rubric in Google Classroom, which is very, very interesting and more organized way of doing the assessments. And as even Professor Srinivasan has mentioned on gamification. So again, we are emphasizing on the fact that teachers are very, very excited to teach when they're playing a game in class. And same is the experience from the students' perspective, that even students are very excited and they are fully engaged in the learning process when they're playing games through Kahoot and quizzes. So right now, what I'm going to be doing is a live demo of how we're going to be using rubric in Google Classroom. So for that, I'm going to be taking you to my own class, which is class 12, which I have been teaching in Sanskriti School for the last, for the last 15 years. I've been working there. And this year we have, due to the pandemic situation, we have taken the entire physical classroom, been converted and transferred into a virtual classroom. So this is my Google Classroom, and in this classroom, I'm going to take you a small tour to how to use rubric in Google Classroom. So any kind of project work that we are grading, we all know that projects are very, very important in grade 12. And in this, in grade 12, you can see the project work can be used with the help of a rubric. So you give your instructions, and this is the rubric that we follow on. So based on the relevance, knowledge, research, presentation, and Viva, we are grading all our students in Google Classroom, accepting their projects online, and returning them using this rubric. So that is how we can use rubric in Google Classroom. And also we can use Google Forms. And in order to give you that small experience of how to use Google Form, right now in your Google Classroom, you will be given a Google form on rural credit, and you all are requested to attempt that form right now and give 2 minutes in giving your quick assessment of the entire concept that you have learned. And I'm going to be releasing that assignment to you just now, which is having that quiz. It's a short quiz, and you can go and attempt it. And if you do not find this assignment in Google Classroom, you can refresh your page, reload this page, and this particular assignment will appear in your Google Classroom. So when you do that, once you're done, we will get to know in Google Classroom whether you've done it or not. So teacher doesn't need to, get bothered whether the child has attempted or not. This entire Google Classroom will give you full analysis, real time, as to all the teachers who are enrolled in my Google Classroom, whether they have submitted the quiz or not. So this will reflect here itself, and then we'll take it forward. And all those people who were unable to join the Google Classroom, I'm going to be posting this particular link of the form in the chat window. You can attempt from there as well. Yes. Thank you so much, Priya. It's already there in the chat window. So if you're there in the Google Classroom, I'll get to import your grades. But if you're not in Google Classroom, then I can see your responses through the Google form only. So through this Google form, you can take regular quizzes. Sometimes in class while you're teaching, you can do mood checks wherein get to know because in pandemic scenario, you're not watching the faces of your students. So here you can quickly, give your input and talk to your children through a quick mood check through a quiz. So I can already see 6 responses up there. 6 people have filled this Google form, and interesting summary has come up. I can see that 6 people out of 7 have given the right responses as expected from all the economics experts here. And here there are certain questions wherein there are 100% accuracy. So through these summaries, you can talk to your children. And if in case you come up to a particular question where you do not see good response, you can further elaborate that particular question in class and help the students learn better. It can give you a summary, it can give you question-wise analysis, and it can also give you individual with the name of the child. You can easily know who all have attempted, how well they have attempted, like that. Just by adding the first question as names. Moment you put that, you will get to know who has attempted which quiz. So through this, you can undertake your assessment in a more professional manner, and all this gets recorded in your Google Classroom. So at this point, I'm gonna, give this mic to Chayan, who would like to take this entire journey forward to an interesting topic in macroeconomics.
Thank you, Rupali. I'm going to present my screen to you. And we're going to be talking about NIA in macroeconomics and how you could conduct a class in national income accounting, a completely virtual class. So here goes. All right. Now, when we set out to teach our kids, one moment, I think I should get my video on too. All right, great. Once we set out to teach them national income accounting, there are certain learning outcomes that we need to keep in mind, which I have listed for you. Some of these learning outcomes are that a learner should be able to understand the difference between nominal and real GDP at the end of the lesson. Also, the learner should have gained some clarity on what is meant by the circular flow of income and the different phases and the different stages that an economy goes through. Well, as economics teachers, you'll all realize how important it is for concepts of net factor income from abroad, depreciation, and net indirect taxes. They're in fact absolutely crucial to the entire exercise of calculating national income. And once we're done with the concepts, well, the learner should be able to demonstrate skills to convert one national income aggregate into another. So which would mean that a learner or a student in our class should be able to convert a GDP-MP into NDP-FC or an NDP-MP into GDP-MP. So they should be able to play around with all the 8 national income aggregates that we teach them. And of course, ultimately, they should be able to calculate national income using the three methods that we would have taught them: the value-added method, the income method, and the expenditure method. Since we're also constrained of time, I am going to be a little crisp in my delivery so that we stay within the time limit. So, well, that's your 5E model for NIA. We're going to begin with engaging the kids in a lesson of national income accounting. And for that, I have used a software called the Mentimeter. Now, if you were to explore the Mentimeter, you'd see that this is this really, simple software to use for us as teachers. It's so simple. You can, prepare a presentation during the course of the class and share it with your kids. It, of course, the free version of Mentimeter allows you to prepare only 2 slides, but you can use it as a quick introduction into, for a topic. And I'm going to show you how. I've used it here. So here goes. And in fact, there's going to be a code that comes up on the screen. And I would want you to go to www.menti.com. And there's a little exercise for you there. Once you log in, you need to fill in this code that you see on your screen. Now, the whole idea behind giving them a question like this, what do you understand by GDP, is to take them from a concept that they're familiar with to newer concepts that you'd be teaching them in national income accounting. Now, GDP is already something that they've learned in a lower grade, so it's something they'd be comfortable with. And when you pose a question like this to them, what do you understand by GDP? Well, you can certainly expect some answers. They might not be completely correct, but it'll give you some ground to build your class on. So I'm waiting for some responses to show up. I hope you've been able to access the presentation. Yeah, so could somebody define it for me? Of course, it is gross domestic product, and that's an answer I get often from my students, but I would like a little more insight into the concept. All right, it's the money value of final goods and services. Great. And if I were to take this definition a little further, it would be the money value of all final goods and services produced within the domestic territory of a country during a given time period, which is usually a year. So now that, you would have sort of brushed up their prior knowledge of the GDP, there are certain terms in this definition that would also require some clarity. So for example, final goods and intermediate goods, and which, you can actually elaborate using the next slide that I have for you. I'm going to move further ahead to the next slide. This is a pictorial slide, so there's nothing that the kids need to write here, but they need to look at it and analyze it. And I think the picture is a giveaway. A child looking at this picture would be able to figure out what exactly are intermediate goods and what final goods are and how the two are different. So in fact, this slide provides a great ground for brainstorming in your class. You could talk about it, you'd get varied answers from your kids telling you, what possibly an intermediate good is, what a final good is, and then you can fill in the gaps for them and actually bring out the entire difference between an intermediate good and final good. Another concept that I have explained on the third slide, which of course is, again, as economics teachers, we realize it's, again, a very important concept that they should be able to understand, is the concept of domestic territory. Now here, what I've done is I've framed an MCQ, and the results appear in real time. And of course, I've picked a donut to show the results here. And I can see I have a very bright class. I only have correct answers flashing on my screen, so that's wonderful. All right, okay, not anymore. I spoke too soon. But this is an exercise that you can conduct in your class, and your kids would love it. They'd see their results right in front of them. And also, it's got a great advantage of being anonymous, so there's no stress on the part of the students to be caught with the wrong answer. Nobody knows who's answered what. So it's a sort of a safe space for them to be operating in. So that was a quick analysis of the Mentimeter. I'm going to go back to my presentation. Go on to Mentimeter, sign up, And it's a great place. You can play around with presentations and share them with your children. The second one is explore. Now that you've got them interested in the topic, you need to, take them further, deeper into it. And for that, videos provide a wonderful, wonderful resource. There are lots of pertinent videos that you can pick on the internet. Of course, it requires some bit of effort on the part of the teacher, because, well, you'll have to watch a whole lot of videos. Some might be good, some might not be so good. But once you've zeroed in on videos that you could use in your class, it's a resource that stays with you. You could save it, so it's going to last you forever. The video that we have here, it's a video on the circular flow of income. And one moment, I'm just going to play it for you. But again, because we're a little short on time, I'm not going to play the entire video for you, just a wee bit of it, a snippet, for you to see what it can actually do to the kids and how it can get them interested in learning.
In macroeconomics, we study the circular flow of income. Let's make things really simple. Imagine we're alone on an isolated island. There's no government, no trade, no savings. I told you, it's simple. There's only firms and households. Firms provide households with goods and services. Out of thin air? Nah. Firms gotta get factors of production from households. It can be labor, land, capital, or, face it, some of us in households are going to be entrepreneurs. So, entrepreneurship. For free? You wish! We don't get freebies from firms. We don't provide labor for free either. So there's money flowing in the opposite direction. Households gotta pay firms for the goods they get. Firms also gotta pay households in the form of wages, rents.
I'm sorry to pause it here, because, well, I need to move on to the next one, but there are umpteen number of videos that you can find and which would be useful in your class. The third one, explanation, this is my absolute favorite and I use it almost every day. A tablet and a pencil. I personally use an iPad with an Apple Pencil, and it's completely replaced my blackboard. I don't miss my blackboard at all anymore. And I remember before I started to use it, I was absolutely completely anxious about how would I, be drawing diagrams? How would I be solving numericals for them? But this has completely changed my life, And it doesn't have to be an iPad. It could be any tablet. You could also write on your phones with a stylus and show it to the children. So it really takes the stress out of online teaching. And just give me a moment. I'm going to show you my iPad screen and what it looks like to the students. One sec. I'm going to stop presenting and I'm going to come back. So you see that's my iPad page that you see on screen. And well, it's really, really simple. You can write whatever you'd like. So GDP, for example, you can solve numericals. It does some brilliant things for me. I'm going to share two of the apps that I use on my iPad. One is GoodNotes. GoodNotes really, really helps you, produce dream results. So you can make diagrams that look absolutely spectacular, much better than the ones that we draw on the blackboard. I'm going to show you. So I get absolutely straight lines, no fuss, nothing to worry about, like that. So I can have an upward sloping supply curve, downward sloping demand curve, and label. So that's what the children see on their screen. Even if I try, I can't draw squiggly lines, they are going to come out straight, which is a huge relief. Like that. There is a laser pointer that you can use to highlight points on the screen, like that. There is also a lasso tool that allows you to move, text that you might have written. So for example, I've written price here and I want to move it from here. So I put the lasso tool around it and I am free to move it anywhere on the screen. And I'm right now, I'm scrolling up and down, but you can't see that. You see a fixed whiteboard, and that's what the students see. So, any mess that I make or any dirty work, it doesn't show up on the white screen for the kids. So it actually works brilliantly. The app that I have used, what I am doing is I am mirroring my iPad on my MacBook right now. So there is this app called Reflector Teacher that allows you to mirror a tablet to your laptop wirelessly. So you don't really need a wired connection. So my iPad and my laptop are not wired at the moment, but I'm writing on my iPad and it's showing up on the laptop. So it just is a great idea that maybe you could try in your classes. It really helps make explanations easy for you and also very lucid for the students as well. Well, I'm going to stop presenting here and I'm going to hand you over to Rupali, who's going to quickly wrap up this session with the last two E's, and then we'll throw the house open to questions. So
Thank you so much, Chayan. And I really want to do the same, drag and drop activity using a simple Google app, which is Google Slides. So like you must be familiar with PowerPoint presentations, but now I'm going to be using Google Slides, which can be converted into a game. In Sanskriti school, we always used, and Ms. Ambika Gulati would be, agreeing with me. We've been using flashcards to play an NIA game, and that entire flashcard game we converted into a virtual game using Google Slides. So this is the game that we're going to play right now, and in this game, as you can see on the slides here, it's just a flashcards being converted into a virtual game using the three identities, which Chayan just showed how you can, elaborate them in class. That entire explanation was done using iPad and Apple Pencil, and now we're going to be converting into a more elaborate drag and drop activity, which can enhance the concept in classroom. So the rules of the game, all those who have got access to this slide, within few minutes, you will get access to come over this slide, and you can see the rules. The rules are that we're going to divide this entire class into certain groups, and each group would have 5 or 6 members. So here we have just chosen randomly 3 or 4 members per group, and you would be given 1 minute to convert one national income aggregate into another. So there are 8 aggregates up there on your screen, and you can easily convert one aggregate into another. So I'll post the link of this particular slide right now in the chat, and you can see how I'm doing it. There's a share button in which there is a link. Anyone on the internet with this link can edit. So I just simply copied this link and I go into the chat box and paste it so that you all can collaborate. So requesting you all to come up on this slide using the link that I'm posting in the chat box and play the game in a more fun and engaging manner. It's a drag and drop activity in which on certain slides where your name would be written, you have to just go to the slide where your name is mentioned. Like for instance, slide number 7, I can see Anasuya, Supraja, all these people. If your name is written there, you just have to go to that particular slide, and all the elements on the slide are draggable. These are the things that we used to, have the flashcards with, and we used to laminate these flashcards. Now they're all movable, draggable items on Google Slides. And each team, if your name is written on the slide, you just jump forward to that slide and wait. And till the time I give you a green signal as to when to start the game, you just be on that slide. So there are four, I can see more names being written here. So I'll give you a grid view here in which I can see all 6 slides in one format here. So all 6 of you can be seen very easily. And over here, I can see that all the people have come up on the slides, and your students' names will also come in over here. So I can see your names up there. It's showing anonymous because right now you're not enrolled in the Google Classroom and you have just used the link to come up here. So over here, as you can see, each and every slide out here, these components are draggable. So I'm giving you half a minute to just quickly drag and see, whether you can easily work on the slides, and you can bring those components back down. Okay. In the end, just remember this thing. In the end, you have to bring your green tick in the center. Everyone has access, so go ahead and just jump over
Ma'am,
this
I've done for
slide.
slide 6. I've done for slide 6.
Okay,
Okay,
great.
thank
Just write
you.
your name. Please write your name on top where there is an option of names. Just type your name there and then we can start the game. Looking at the time, let's play at least 2 rounds and see how excited the teachers would be to understand the basic concepts of national income accounting. So let's start. Okay, so we are good to go. I can see at least 2 people. I think slide 1, if I have one more person to help out, it would be better. Okay, so let's start. Round 1. Okay, I'm giving you 1 minute time. So let's have this option. Round 1 can be a demo round so that everyone gets to know what's the dynamics of the game. So,
Rupaligan, can you please send the link again?
sure.
I just left the meeting. I want to play the game.
All right. Oh, I will. I love to hear the excitement in the voice.
Thank you.
That's the link. Don't feel shy. So please come up and play the game. We all are economics teachers, and the concepts are right in front of you. All three of the concepts are on slide 4. So for quick reference,
yeah, I think we should start and maybe we can join later.
Yeah. So let's begin. It's round 1 now, and a simple conversion. You'll be given 1 minute. So convert GDP at FC into GNP at FC. Your time starts now. Don't forget to put the green signal in the center, the green tick. Drag, these are draggable. Yes, I can see movement.
Time's up. Time.
It's time.
Okay, time up. So looking at the slides, I can see some movement in slide 6. Supriya, so what is it like?
Number 4 was first, followed by team 5.
Okay, great. So number 4, if I can see and zoom and see, where is the identity that you've mentioned? GDP at FC is this one. What you've done is you've added NFIFA, net factor income earned from abroad, but you've added NIT as well. My question was GNP at FC. So yes, team 4, you haven't won. So I move on to the second fastest team. So yes, who's the next one? Supriya ma'am?
5.
Any
Team
other?
5. Team 5.
Team 5. Okay, so team 5, I can see GDP at MP minus NIT is GDP at FC. That was not the question. The question was you have to convert GDP at FC into GNP at FC. So like we tell our students, to read the question carefully, and all of you can play this game using simple Google Slides app, and easily by inserting these shapes. You have an option to insert a shape. So these shapes are available, and you can make this fun game with easy insertions of shapes in your Google slide. So that's about elaboration. And then one final thing that I really want you all to play, and that is evaluation of national income accounting. For that, we would be playing a Kahoot game right now. So again, a short game, looking at the time, a short game on Kahoot with you all within few minutes. And I would want each one of you to participate in this Kahoot game, and you would be happy to play this game.
Yeah, we need.
In order to play this game, one thing that is very essential is that you should have two windows on your laptop. And if you're playing it on mobile phone, then also you need to switch from one window to another when you're playing the game. So if you are on a laptop, then quickly, join this game. And this particular game, I'm going to play only few questions looking at the time and tell you how exciting your class can be if you play a game and help students revise their concepts in class, and you can quickly give them instant feedback on their understanding. So let's start the game. So for that, what you're supposed to do is, there are two windows needed on your computer. On one window, you will have your Meet open, and on another window, you will go to www.kahoot.it. So everyone go to www.kahoot.it, and you will have to just use this game pin to enter the game, and use your full name as the nickname so that we can see your names flashing over here in few minutes. So two things to do: have two windows. One window is the Meet window, and second window is nothing but the Kahoot window. So both the windows need to be visible to you on your screen. And always remember, in order to play the game, on your Meet window, you will get to see the questions and their options. But while answering, you will be answering on the Kahoot window, on which you will be clicking on the color of the option. So always remember, you can't click on the Meet window. You have to click on Kahoot window, which is www.kahoot.it. I can already see 8 here coming up. And all
And
eight
what
of
is the
you,
code? What is the game pin?
Here, 6720666. It's flashing on the screen. And when I start the game, all those who are still, wanting to join in, you can join in between. The code will be there on screen all the time. So I'm starting the game to get you the feel of gamifications as an assessment tool in your online classes. So let's start the game. Question number 1.
7.
Question is flashing on your Meet window. You have to answer on your Kahoot window.
I can't see the question.
Question on the Meet window.
Can't see.
And
Question is right on top. On
Yes.
top. Is
Yes.
interest is
Is interest received by households on government debt included in national income or not? So every year we're going to be helping our students learn what to be included or not included in national income or domestic income. So you can play this kind of a game in your class to help them understand these basics. So I can see one teacher has given the right answer and 5 of you have given the wrong answer. And I will not get into the explanation here, because here the loan is taken by the government, and we assume that the government takes the loan for consumption purposes. So interest on a consumption purpose loan is a mere transfer. So it's not included in national income. Going on to, oh, I can see Mr. Shiva Gupta. So is leading the game. And let's go on to the second question. So be alert, your accuracy and your speed.
Kindly repeat the question if you can. The second question.
Are taxes on capital gains included? The national income or not? Tax. Five of you got it right. Yes, any tax, no matter what, is a transfer. Yes, tough competition coming up. So we have 5 players who are on the leaderboard. Question number 3 for you. All right, so now I have 9 correct answers, and without getting into the details, I'm going to end this game looking at the time, and with these 3 questions, I'm going to announce the winners. Though I can just continue playing. We have on 3rd position Prabjot, 2nd position Supraja, and the winner is Shivagupta. So like this, it was, use of different techniques which can help you, make your interesting classes in your virtual classroom. And just to end the session, and since it's the end of the session here, I would really request all of you to fill up a feedback form, which is going to be coming up on the, chat box right now. We're going to post the feedback form link. And you can use this link to give us a feedback, and over to Professor Srinivasan, who can actually, take this thing forward. And again, thank you so much, everyone, for participating in these games. And now the floor is also open for any question answers. If you really want to ask anything related to the content that we have delivered, you can ask. And over to you, Professor Srinivasan.
Thank you, Rupali and Supriya and Chayan Singh for this very relevant presentation. My participants are really hooked. I can see that they did not see the time it's going on. I was initially telling that only 40 to 50 minutes, but it has almost nearly 2 hours, 1 hour, 40 minutes. And it's also quite important in the interest of children. And even though the training sessions take every 1 hour, 40 minute session, but this session is very interesting. And I also noticed that we have used many apps and softwares, like starting from the Google factory, from Google to non-Google apps and softwares. I'm sure my colleagues will be going back and trying to explore many of these apps. And if there are any questions, if you want to have any comments, like we are now, it's 4:49, and if we have 10 minutes more, if there are any important suggestions, comments, you're all welcome. Any others? Anybody wants to say something? And
I want to ask one thing, that how this Padlet is better than PPT. Means I have seen both, so I find that the same thing can be presented in PPT also. So, but how it is better, Padlet?
Yeah, Rupali ji, you can answer. How
yeah,
is?
Sure. Yeah, Chayan, go ahead.
See, a Padlet allows kids to put in their inputs. You can see their responses in live time. So we use it for assignments in our class, for online assignments. When we post an assignment, the kids solve it in their notebooks, take screenshots of it, and upload it on the Padlet. So we can correct their work right there and then. It's very, very different from a PPT.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Any other points that are like any other suggestions?
Srinivasan, if I may.
Yeah, please, Samika.
Applaud the team. Really, it
Thank you
was
so
such a delight
much.
to see all three of you and present things that we started many years ago, and how you have taken it to absolutely not the next level, but many levels above. Thank you for sharing everything so openly, and it was really beautiful to see the different tools. And these are tools, if I can add on behalf of the team, that these are not just for the virtual world. These are very useful on a regular school day when children will come back on site, because they are the digital natives and they need these tools to make it more exciting for them. We use Kahoot every day in class and we see the noise levels.
Oh, completely.
Or whether it is Padlet. So, it's not just about it. And I see another colleague, Sanjukta, writing also. So it's really, really nice to see that the things we started continuing and going up to many, many levels are. So thank you, girls, for such an informative presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambika. Thanks for being there.
Thank you so much, Ambika.
And I'm again requesting you that if you are having any very creative, innovative ideas, anybody, please mail to us and we'll get back to you. Maybe we'll try to make another webinar and series of webinars, and you are welcome. And thank you for Sankiti School and the Department of Economics for the nice, wonderful presentation. And hope we will be in touch. And if there is any occasion, if there are any more ideas on some other topic, and certainly we will get back to you, so that the way you have taken up the microfinance topic, I never imagined that the national income accounting can be like this way. Usually it's used to be like memory recall, but here everybody is just trying to participate actively. And thank you very much for sharing your views and experiences. Thank you very much, especially Chayan Singh ji and Supriya Baga and Rupali. If there are any suggestions, please write to us. Okay.
Yeah, and we would love your feedback too. So please go to the feedback form and put down your feedback. Thank you.
And yes, they are asking for the link for the flashcard activity. All links are there in a resource sheet, which will be shared with you.
So the same Google Classroom, we would be posting the resource sheet, which includes all the links of all the apps, whether Google or non-Google. All the apps that we used in the presentation today are there in the resource sheet, and we are going to be giving you a group photo as well. So for that, I would like to request each one of you to please switch on the camera. We can have a group photo as a memory of this session, and that can be relished by you all through Google Classroom.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Requesting everyone to please switch on the video. Good to see the entire fraternity who has been doing wonderful work in the field of economics. So time for taking the shot. All right, I'll just take it, because Google provides interesting updates on a daily basis, and they have also given us this feature of taking a group photo using an extension, which is grid view. So I'm going to use that for taking a group photo. So you all can smile. And thank you so much for your enthusiastic participation using all the tools in this virtual setup. Thank you. Taken all the snapshots. We'll provide them in Google Classroom. And the email ID that you will fill in the feedback form, through that email ID also, you will receive all these beautiful resources that you can use and enhance your teaching learning process on a daily basis. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Srinivasan, for giving us this opportunity to share. It's a learning platform for everybody, for us too.
Where is the feedback form?
We can post it in the link in the chat box.
I shared the link in the chat box.
Okay, but I am not able to see.
It's there
Okay,
in the
fine.
Google
That's fine.
Classroom as well. Yeah.
Got it, got it, got it.
The resource sheet also, I'm posting it in the Google Classroom. You can access it and take your teaching learning process to next level.
Actually, I didn't join Google Classroom, so can it be shared on my email ID?
Yeah, sure. So what we can do is the email IDs that we have through this Google Meet session, on those email IDs, we will provide you the resource sheet.
Okay, thank you.
Can you just provide the link for the Google Classroom again so that we can join?
Sure. That would, yeah, it's open. I mean, it's open for you. For the next 2 days, it will be live. So you all can join in and grab all the resources. So the Google Classroom code, Chayan, if you can put it again in the chat box.
I'll just put it here in the chat.
Yeah, please accept this code. And for the next 2 days, it's going to be active.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
You're welcome. Completely our pleasure.
And how to join this particular Google Classroom?
Through your personal email, you will be able to join this classroom. If you're using laptop, then simple inbox you go, and there's going to be an app launcher there. Click on that and look for the Google Classroom app. If you're a first-time user, then you need to click on your role as a teacher, and then use this code.
I have been using Google Classroom, but not as a particular Google Classroom. I created my own Google Classroom. I created my own classes on the Google Classroom. But this particular which has this code, that one I have not used.
So now you have to use this code to join and grab all the resources.
So where to put this code? Where to use this code?
You go to the Google Classroom app, and there is a plus sign. So you join a classroom, you click on join classroom and enter this code.
Okay, got it.
Just
Now
2
I got it.
clicks
Thank
and
you so
you
much.
enter.
Right, thank you. Ma'am, please provide the code of the Google. Achha, okay, it's there. Thank you.
It's there in the chat box.
Anything else you'd like to ask us?
No, thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
Thank you very much again. We'll get back to you sometime like in the next webinar. And we'll be sending the email like a request if there are like any more webinars in future. And since you have already registered with this group, and we'll use the details of your phone number or email ID for sharing the resources so that we are able to teach economics effectively, and we explore and share ideas of teaching economics in a better manner. So thank you again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Srinivasan.
Thank you so much. Are we free to leave, Professor Srinivasan?
Yes. Yeah. I'll just shall I stop recording now?
Yes.
Yes.
And the live streaming as well. Yeah.
Rupali, I will be calling you at some point of time to understand how to join. Many apps were there which I could not see in my phone, but I joined everything.
Yeah. Sure, Prabhat, ma'am.
A little more hand holding is required for us to learn the technology and how to use it. But all this was very useful and very interesting. So I would like to
can you please share your number? Rupali ma'am, can you please share your phone number so that we can disturb you?
You know, we have our email ID.
Yeah, we've given our email IDs.
In fact, I'm going to put down all our email IDs in the chat.
Yeah,
you could send that mail anytime you want.
Anytime we are available on mail.
And the website is wonderful, ma'am.
It's a collaborative effort by all three of us. Yeah.
Mind blowing, ma'am. Mind blowing.
It's so nice to hear that.
Actually, we always look for the resource for teaching Indian economy and to make it more lively, more interactive. So that's a lot of videos.
That was the reason that three of us, thought same thoughts were there in our mind, and we started this entire process just to, make our lessons more interesting.
And that the storyline, that is also very beautiful to explain and to connect the students. And this Yusuf, they have started in class 10, so they can easily relate it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your feedback.
Completely. Pleasure is ours.
Okay, so shall I?
Yes, Mr. Srinivasan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Srinivasan, and thank you so much, Ambika. I think she's
Sure,
left.
and in case you ask you for another session on some other topic, and certainly we'll start having, we'll have another webinar with you and other members actually. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you so much. Yeah, bye-bye.